How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. And for all of their fanfare and their impact on gaming and all that, Capcom's early arcade offerings were all pretty, they were pretty tame. Whole lot of shooters. And back in the 80s, shmups got old quick because not a lot of enemies on screen. A bunch of them didn't have a whole lot of variety and backdrops and stuff like that. This one though, this particular game was cool because it at least had some mild platforming type stuff going on with it, right? When it was time to port it to the Famicom, the duties were passed to Micronics. And if you played 1942 or Chubby Cherub, no, Chubby Cherub was Tosei, I'm sorry. But if you've played 1942 or Commando, you know what to expect from Micronics. I'm sorry. But that doesn't diminish this game's impact. It's from the original arcade game was released in 1984. Famicom port was released in 1986. We didn't officially get this game here in the States until Capcom Classics Collection Volume 1. That was in the early 2000s. We didn't get this character on anything until Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Today, we're going to take a quick look at SonSon. Now, SonSon is the first video game that was released that was based on Journey to the West. I know, Dragon Ball and all that, but this was the first video game, so you know who to go argue with. SonSon plays and looks, level layouts and all that remind me a whole lot of the SNK arcade game Psycho Soldier. Difference between this and Psycho Soldier is that Psycho Soldier had a whole lot more personality. Namely because there was a full song with lyrics in the soundtrack. Now, that was the only real music in the soundtrack, but still. SonSon is really sparse graphically, which is why I'm confused as to all of the flicker that's in the game, but I blame that on Micronics, nothing more. The sound in and of itself is kind of sparse in this game, not a whole lot going on music wise. Again, that's Micronics' fault. But yeah, this game, it just is. It's perfectly fine, but it gets dull quickly because Micronics didn't do anything to add any extra oomph to the game. Very just bare bones to the point. This is what you got. And that's cool for arcades. You pop in a quarter, play. When your credit's over, you can keep it moving. But this was a home game that people spent money on. I'm infinitely happy that Capcom decided to start fleshing their home ports of their arcade titles out more, which is why buying a Commando on the NES is so incredible. This, I want to like it, but nah. If you want to play it, you can find it in a bunch of different places now. Back then, you could only play it if you had a Famicom, and we might have been better for that. Now, this character did rear his head again in 1998-99's Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I want to say it was 99-2000. like Cash Money when he took over. But yeah, this was like he was one of the characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and fun character to play as. Infinitely more fun to play as SonSon in Marvel vs. Capcom, fighting Mega Man and Sabretooth, than playing this game. But that ain't nobody's fault. But say it with me now, Micronics, them babies just they did the bare minimum. They did the bare minimum. You know, they like the C+ student that ended up becoming president. Whatever. If you want a copy of SonSon, though, you can get one of those handy dandy Famicom carts for about $8. Thankfully, it's not a super rare cart. It's not a super expensive cart. I want to say Capcom Classics Collection is still $20 to $25 if you have an OG Xbox or a Series X, because I think this might play on the Series X, or a PS2. I think this did also show up on the GameCube. Don't quote me. But SonSon is available to play like that as well. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, getting physicals of old versions of that game, super pricey. Playing it from the download services, don't know. Question mark. But yeah, SonSon is an important piece of gaming history because the Dragon Ball link and all that. But this home port ain't it. So save your money and your time. It's dog head. Real dog. This has been the 8-Bit Animal. And I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow. Yeah, this is a knockoff of Narc, and it was made by Color Dreams. I am so sorry.